member in IEEE. And his areas of interest are wearable electronics, solar PV, and wind energy system, textile control engineering, smart grid, and Internet of Things. Energy conservation and management, power quality management, demand side management, power electronics, and drives. I once again welcome you, Dr. L. Ashok Kumar Jha, for the interactive session of our FDP.
Thank you, Sandil sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
So now I kindly request our chief guest to take over the session. So welcome you, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the introduction and thank you for the invitation. Good afternoon, all participants. Let me share the screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
I have opened the PPT. Hope it is clear.
Okay, sir.
Ma'am, is my PPT is visible to you?
No, sir. PPT is not visible, sir, but your screen is visible.
I have opened the PPT. Now, ma'am?
No, sir.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Visible, sir. No.
My PPT is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's visible now.
Okay. So, my topic for today is virtual reality based rehabilitation device for upper extremity stroke survivors. Basically, this is an outcome of the project funded by Department of Science and Technology. And two of the projects already we have completed, and we have also developed a few products out of it. I will be discussing on those products. And three projects we are running in the same domain, but in an advanced version. It is also sponsored by Department of Science and Technology. I'll be touching upon those concepts as well. So my agenda of my presentation would be, I'll be telling you the importance of a rehabilitation device for a stroke patient. Basically, what is the status of these stroke patients in India, and what are all the available rehabilitation devices, and we will see the problems in the existing devices, and how virtual reality will help in rehabilitating the stroke survivors, stroke patients, and what are all the existing methods, and at PHE College of Technology, what are the products we have developed. All the products developed at PHE Tech has been certified by the physiotherapists as well as neurosurgeons, and all the clinical trials have been done. So if anyone is interested in these products, we can also look into it, and we are ready to transfer this technology to the corresponding hospitals. Some of the products we have already done, and some of the products are still under research, and some of the products are ready for technology transfer. So the main motive of this presentation is to tell you people the importance of virtual reality for medical applications, basically. So especially for rehabilitation, how this virtual reality plays a major role. So this is going to be the agenda of my presentation. So what is stroke basically? And the stroke can occur because of many reasons. Let us not go deep into it. But basically, stroke occurs when a blockage in the blood vessel. And if it interrupts the flow of blood in the vein which goes to the brain, it may lead to death, or it may lead to paralyze the particular part of the body, or it may lead to stroke. So when the stroke happens, many things will occur, like the brain don't receive enough oxygen or a nutrient, and particular part of the body may not work, as I said earlier, and the brain cells may die. So it is basically a cerebrovascular disease. Stroke is a cerebrovascular disease. Mainly, it affects the blood vessel that feed the brain oxygen. Assuming that the brain is the main source which supplies oxygen to the all parts of the body. So if it don't supply the vein which goes to a particular body part, then that particular body part won't work. That we normally call it as a paralyzed or stroke. Okay. So if the brain does not receive enough oxygen, a complete damage may also occur. So this is a very big medical emergency. And some of the strokes are treatable and some may lead to death or disability. So if you take the statistics released by World Health Organization, stroke is a most critical disease, and because of our day-to-day behavior, activity, because of this modern world, because of our day-to-day food habits, because of our regular practices, this stroke may happen to any persons in the world. It won't age no bar. In short, age no bar. It can come to anyone. So it is one of the most dangerous disease, and it is in the 3rd place. Okay. And once the stroke happens, I think you know what is the importance of stroke and what is stroke now. And once the stroke occurs, how do you rehabilitate? There are many methods to rehabilitate it. The problem in the existing system is we have visited almost all the major hospitals in India, right from AIIMS to Vijay Mallya Hospital to all the government hospitals in India. We have gone through all the hospitals, especially in this particular domain. They have device, but that device won't satisfy the patient or the customer. So it is possible to rehabilitate it. How fast you rehabilitate from this particular stroke depends upon what all the therapy you are going to do. The therapy makes the man perfect, a person perfect for rehabilitation. So stroke is potentially a life-changing event that can have lasting physical and emotional effects. Physical effect more. And there are a lot of therapies going on. These are all successful therapy, but the problem is now in this present world, time is money. Some of the therapy may take very long time, very long years, maybe 10 to 15 years. The entire decade may go over. So some of the existing therapy are speech therapy. So if the person one side got paralyzed, the speech will not be normal. So there are certain speech method, occupational therapy is there, physical therapy is there, which can make the people to communicate easier. Again, it is a time-consuming process, and we have to do it on a day-to-day basis. And even we can do it at home. Initially, we need to go to the clinic or to the hospital, but after that, we may need to do it at home. And physical therapy requires the movement. It is a must, and it is not an easy task for a person who got affected from stroke. It involves a lot of pain for the patients. It has a lot of pain for the caretakers. And the third one is occupational therapy. This is very, very important. Occupational therapy is the one which is required to do ADL. We call it as ADL. ADL means activity of daily living. So it may rehabilitate the person to do the day-to-day activity like eating, cooking, bathing, dressing, writing. So the basic requirement for being a human cannot be done if you got affected by stroke or paralysis. So that can be rectified by this occupational therapy. And we have support groups. Normally it happens in the physiotherapy group. There are so many NGOs available in Coimbatore also, in Tamil Nadu, in India level. There are certain associations available, especially for stroke patients and paralyzed patients. For example, support groups. Instead of doing the therapy all alone, you may do it in a group. It may lead to have rehabilitation quicker, and it can cope up with the mental and health issue of a patient. Okay, and we need the support from friends and family, of course. And out of all these things, rehabilitation is an important and ongoing part of a stroke treatment. Once you start doing the rehabilitation, you should know the process is right or not. You should not start a wrong thing to rehabilitate a wrong part, right? You have to get the right equipment for or else the right assistant to support a particular parts of the body. Okay, that is where the physiotherapist plays a major role. And what are the post-stroke effects? Stroke can cause what? A paralysis or weakness of a particular body. Stroke can even lead to attack, a heart attack, an immediate or a sudden death. Okay, and it will make an imbalance in your body. It would not. You may need to take a particular object, and it is the brain and hand coordination won't be there, right? And there will be an imbalance in your body. And many people also experiences extreme fatigue in the first few weeks of stroke, and after that it will become a routine for them. Even a stroke affected patient, it is not possible for them to have a good sleep, the sound sleep. So as a part of the rehabilitation, we need to do many exercises, many treatment for this post-stroke effects. So these are all the rehabilitation therapies for upper extremity motor impairment. So this is where we need to concentrate upon. This is what we do at various hospitals. So we have seen what is stroke, what are all the effects of strokes, and what are the therapies available. And these are all the extreme therapies, the basic occupational therapy, speech therapy, and all very basic. You no need any kind of an equipment, any kind of a device. But for doing certain movement, you need this following method exercises. First one is called as the ROM exercise, range of motion exercises. It has two divisions, active and passive. So it will concentrate on particular part of your body. So for example, if you take your hand, it is divided into 4 parts: a shoulder, an arm, a hand, and the wrist. Again, in the wrist you have fingers. So if you want to give therapy, you have to find a particular device which can give therapy to all the parts of your hand. Okay, I need to move the shoulder, I need to move the elbow, I need to move the hand, I need to move the wrist, I need to pick and place with the help of my fingers. So these are all called as the range of motion exercise. And following assessment, it is mainly to determine the sensor motor recovery of a patient. Okay, it varies. For example, I may be strong, a particular person may not be strong. I may be little hesitant to do a particular exercise even though if I am strong. Person who is so weak, he may be very easy to cope up with a particular exercise. So depending on the person, depending on the individual, the exercise may vary. So for that, we need to do the assessment. I'm trying to tell you the importance of virtual reality. So to understand the importance of virtual reality, you need to know the basics of rehabilitation devices. So you need to understand, even though the equipment is same, and that the way of doing exercises, the way of recovering from the stroke may differ from patient to patient. And the third one is functional electrical stimulation. What we do is like we will give a particular part of the body a temporary shock to stimulate a particular organ, to stimulate a particular part of the body. Okay, so this is called as FES. We have standard equipment available. This is a very old technology. And another one is a traditional or modified constrained induced movement therapy. So here, depending on the DOF, degrees of freedom, depending on the DOF, for example, if your finger got paralyzed, it is not possible to move. It is not possible to remove the wrist. It is not possible to move the elbow. So I need 360 degrees of rotation. But even to move to a particular degree, it is not possible. It may not be possible. So we have certain method for moving this cognition, normal cognition. And the third one is mirror therapy. Mirror therapy is mainly to help the upper extremity and for ADL. the ADL what we have discussed in occupational therapy. The same one, little advanced, is the mirror therapy. Okay, and the last one is sensory stimulation. Like here we need to include certain electronic devices. We will be placing sensors all over the body, and the sensors will sense the EEG signal, electroencephalogram signal, and it will be sent to a processor, and it may stimulate or it may tell the present activity. So if you see practically, once you show that equipment to the patient, he will get afraid. He or she may get afraid. He may be little hesitant to do the exercises. He may be little hesitant to do the rehabilitation processes. Okay, please don't mind, I'm using he, let it be common. Okay, so he will be little hesitant to do the exercises or rehabilitation processes. These are all the existing problem, and for starting a stimulation and starting the rehabilitation process to end the rehabilitation process, it may take minimum of 3 to 4 hours. Okay, so this is the problem in the case of this sensory stimulation. So rehabilitation therapies for virtual upper extremity motor impairment can be done with the help of virtual reality also. Okay, it include both immersive technologies, like it can be robotic based, or non-immersive technology with the help of a gaming applications. For example, if you assuming that I just want to rehabilitate my finger movement, out of the finger movement, thumb finger movement or thumb finger rehabilitation is very tough. We don't have device to do that. Assuming that I'm asking the particular person to press the ball. Okay, just a simple rehabilitation device exercise. But how long he or she will do it? He or she may get bored, and I don't know whether I'm doing it regularly, whether this will work out or not. I may not be in a position to get the feedback. How long I should do it? How hard I should press it? In the existing system, there is no need to get the feedback. If the patient is hesitant enough to do the exercise, he may tell that I'm little fine, I'm okay now, let me not do the exercise further. Okay, then he may not do it, and we may not know the exact feedback of his progress. So these are all the problem with the existing devices, and for that there are some supplementary training programs available. Actually, many of the physiotherapy clinic, they don't have this modern technique. Even this technique, we call it as a modern technique. This is the saddest part. I'm trying to tell you the present situation in India. There are many clinics wherein which they have only the basic occupational therapy and a simple movement for rehabilitating the patient. Okay, and for going further, we need to spend time as well as money, and we need supporting doctors for the therapists for doing so. So therapists should consider supplementary training program to increase the active movement for training for rehabilitating the particular part of the body. So that we call it as a GRASP, graded repetitive arm supplementary program, mainly suitable for hospitalization and at home. In this GRASP, there are certain techniques available. So those techniques can be done on a daily basis, hourly basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. Do this routine exercise again and again and again, and then come back to the clinic. Then we'll check the progress, and again we'll be doing the next schedule or next program. Okay, this is mainly to improve the activity of daily living or improve the therapy. So next one is strength training. We have different levels here, basically. Like level, I'll tell you all those level later. And the strength training is mainly to check the grip strength, like with mild to moderate upper extremity impairment for improvement in grip. Strength training does not pain the patient. For example, if I want to take a tumbler from the table, I should hold it tight, right? A person fingers, it is not possible for the person to hold it. It is not possible for the person to move it also. So I need to strengthen the muscles. To check the strength of the muscle, we have a technique called as spasticity test. We will discuss that later. Spasticity, okay, to check the stiffness of the muscle, strength of the muscle, okay. So this strength training is mainly for gripping, basically. And next one is bilateral arm training. And it has a lot of strain actually. We have an equipment to do so, but it will pain the patient. One or two times he or she may do it, but later on, once he start doing that, he may not come for the next time if he is weak. Okay, and third one is non-invasive brain stimulation, and this will have some stimulation similar to FES. Okay, similar to FES, we will stimulate a particular part of the body with the help of non-invasive brain stimulation. Okay, so next is for patients who are unable to produce any voluntary muscle activity, we have other techniques also, compensatory technique. And the main purpose of compensatory technique is to improve the ADL. And all the training what I have shown is depending on the patient, as well as depending on the level of the stroke got affected for the person, right? Depending on that, the level of training may vary, and moreover, it also depends upon the availability of the equipment in that physiotherapy or in the clinic. Okay. So the purpose of rehabilitation devices, why we need to develop a device. So far, I have discussed about the existing devices available in India. Even if you go to a multi-speciality clinic or a hospital, they will have these kind of devices only, or otherwise they may go to Ayurveda, they may do the oil massage, etc. Right? They may, but physically, if you want to rehabilitate your particular part of the body who got affected from stroke or paralysis, these are all the standard equipment, standard methods, standard therapies available. Wherever you go, you will have this standard routine, nothing new, nothing more. So what is the main purpose for developing a new device? So we need arm and hand function is frequently reduced following stroke. So if you take any stroke patient, the main part which will affect is the arm and hand function. And unfortunately, a large number of stroke survivors with initial arm weakness do not regain normal function. For example, assuming that he is a rider, he used to ride two-wheeler, right? So after getting rehabilitated, if you would have rehabilitated with the help of the previous devices what I have mentioned, to again you start a vehicle, it may not be possible to regain the previous one. At one point of time, you may feel the pain, you may feel the strain, and it may not be possible fully to regain the position what you had it earlier. So the existing rehabilitation devices may give an interim solution only. After being rehabilitated, you may need to do some extra effect like putting an oil massage, etc. That you have to do it lifelong. So the existing method is not a lifelong solution. Again, it depends. If you are well, mentally strong, you may get recovered easily. But it also age matters, time matters, right? For the patients who are very old, 60 to 70 years, they cannot spend more time on rehabilitation. One is because of the age. Second one is they cannot do it again and again because of the strain involved in the existing system. So people with stroke provided, they have to give a proper feedback. They may tell wrong, they may not be in a position to judge properly. So what we want is, we want a device which is easily operatable by the patient itself, by the caretaker itself. It should be affordable by the clinic, it should be affordable by the patient. It should rehabilitate all the parts of the body, upper extremity body, I mean, not the leg. I'm talking only about the upper extremity, which involves the shoulder, the arm, the hand, the wrist, and the fingers. I'm talking only about the upper extremity. Lower extremity is also the same case, but it is a big topic. So I have divided into two parts, upper extremity and lower extremity. So we need to find a device which can do rehabilitation for all the parts of the upper extremity stroke survivor. One. Second, the device should give feedback to the doctors, to the caretakers. Okay, because the patient doesn't know the exact feedback, right? One day he may tell the feedback that he is okay. Next day, if you ask, he may not be in a position to say the same answer. Okay, he may doubtful in his answer. So I don't want the human being to judge. I want a system to do it, so that I can, as the doctor can or a therapist can give a proper training or therapy to the patient. Okay, so we need a proper system, and it should be a cost-effective system, and it should give feedback about the patient to the doctor very easily. This is the exact need of a rehabilitation device. Fine. So I have understood the concept, and I have understood the present method what we follow in different clinic or different hospital, and I have understood the concept of virtual reality also, and what is the requirement, what is how to design a system. So the main objective is to achieve timely and appropriate assessment and management of upper extremity function of the organization requires the following thing. See, one particular term which is more relevant for medical field is golden hour. So golden hour is something like once the patient got affected, because it may be because of any of the diseases. Once the patient got affected, if you could able to immediately send to the hospital or clinic, he or she may get alive. Any doubts? Someone has unmuted the mic.
So participant, kindly mute your devices. Sir, I muted, sir. You can continue, sir. Participant, kindly mute your devices. Sir, excuse me, sir. Sir, please kindly unmute and speak, sir. I muted all. Sir? So?
Yeah, can you able to hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So sorry, I forgot what I said. I was talking about the necessity of the rehabilitation devices. So this is the main requirement. The device should be accessible. The device should not hamper the patient. It should give feedback, or it should give assessment about the patient, and it should be available at the clinic, and it should have a long time service. These are all the main system requirement. So I can implement with the help of robotics. See, there is an equipment available in some of the hospitals. Okay, multi-speciality, very big hospital. There are certain equipment available for physiotherapy clinic or physiotherapist, but all are robotic based. Once you sit in that system, all over your body, the sensors will be placed, and you have a lot of wires involved in it, and it has to be attached to the computer or a laptop or whatever it is. Once the patient sees that equipment, he or she may get afraid. The patient may be little hesitant to operate that particular device. So the disadvantage of having a robotic based device is certain minute movement is not possible to do it. Sometimes it may hamper the patient. Okay, so but still there are high scope for involving robotics in therapy, involving robotics in rehabilitation devices. So there are different types of robotic devices used in rehabilitation. For example, it is basically classified into active device and passive device. Both the devices, in both the devices, it is possible to use augmented reality and virtual reality. In both the platforms are possible. We have done it already. I will show the diagram later. So active devices are something like which will provide an active assistance about, and also it will give a feedback about the system, and the patient has to do some form of movement for the device to work. Okay, it is the second stage basically. Okay, or otherwise the caretaker or a therapist may need to move to make the device operate. Okay, so the active rehabilitation device will help in all ADL, activity of daily living. So it might be a substitute for occupational therapy. The existing system, we have an occupational therapy, but if you could able to convert that occupational therapy into an robotic based system, then it can be called as an active device. And passive device, here we need to do some research. Still people are working on this passive device, and it is completely independent of patient's voluntary movement. Even if the persons who got affected from stroke or hemiplegia or paralysis, if they lost all their motor functions in their body, this device will be in a position to do the exercise activity, rehabilitation activity. For example, depending on the range of motion, we may able to operate the device, and we may give step-by-step solution for the rehabilitation, step-by-step solution for the movement of the body. So here there are a lot of scope for improving the device, lot of scope for automation, lot of scope for deep learning, machine learning and artificial intelligence, virtual reality and AR. Fine. So now we know what is the requirement. We need a device which can operate in active and passive mode. Active mode is almost similar to occupational therapy. Passive mode requires a lot of automation and it requires a lot of sensor-based system. Now let us define what is virtual reality. So virtual reality, virtual reality is the term used for computer-generated 3D environment that allow the user to enter and interact with the alternate reality. We normally call virtual real. It is almost like an oxymoron in English. What we call, excuse me. Normally we have a terminology in English called as oxymoron. Okay, oxymoron consists of in a same word you have both for and against. Here virtual is real. Virtual is not real. Reality is real actually. Okay, virtual reality is something like which is not in real, but we can able to see the reality. We can say that we can see the reality which is not in reality. So that is what virtual reality is all about. So we are trying to develop a rehabilitation device based on virtual reality environment, which can help the patient for doing the rehabilitation exercise very easily. First. Second, which will give exact feedback about the patient's movement to the caretaker as well as to the hospital as well as to the therapist. Third, everything can be done with the help of the equipment what we use in our day-to-day life. Okay, the device won't look like a rehabilitation device. It may look like a normal device, but it will do all the rehabilitation processes. And final one, the most important one, it is cost effective. It should be affordable by all the people. For every sitting, when we go to meet a physiotherapist, minimum of 250 rupees is being charged. And to get the rehabilitation, the patient has to wait for 2 to 3 hours minimum, right? So all these things can be stopped if you implement the VR technique for rehabilitation devices. There are different types of VR: non-immersive, full immersive, semi-immersive, AR, collaborative VR. we can implement all the VR type for the rehabilitation devices. And all of you know about the components required for virtual reality. Any device, any AR or VR platform requires an input, a process, and an output. But here input is something like a sensor, right? And a processor is nothing but a controller or a device. And an output is nothing but a movement of the hand. That is how I need to correlate, right? Input will sense the present status. The sensor can be any type of sensor for that matter. And the process is nothing but my controller or the controller which actuate a particular device. And an output is something like the movement. So based on the input, I can move my finger. Based on my input, I can move my wrist. So virtual reality component is basically a 3 component: input, a process, and an output. And why I need to integrate VR and rehabilitation device? VR can provide a means for individuals with disability to perceive and interact with objects in a non-physical world. Example, I want to move from this table to that displacement, that place. I need to displace my body. But physically, I may not be in a position to move. It will give a mental strain to me. All these days, I was moving from that place to this place as and when I want. But suddenly, I'm not in a position to move because the person got affected from stroke or paralysis. So if I do exercise, I may be in a position to do it. As I want to recover, I may do it in the initial stages of my life. But doing when I feel like I'm getting delayed, the recovery is getting delayed, I will not do it again and again. My day-to-day activity will get stagnated. So to avoid that, I may need to involve virtual reality. So virtual reality will do what? Whenever I start doing the exercise, physically I may not move, but virtually I may move from this place to that place, and it may give mental strength to me, not strain, mental strength to me. And also it may increase the day-to-day activity exercises, rehabilitation methods. Okay, and the degree of difficulty of a particular task can be programmed. This is very, very important. The patient may think that it is not possible for to do, but depending on the patient's movement, the clinician or a therapist can understand, and easily they can program. Even a layman can program. Program is not a high rocket science in this rehabilitation device. A very simple program. I'll tell you those. I can show you that program. Okay. And instead of a boring exercise, when you see the exercise, what we do in conventional physiotherapist clinic, it is a very, very normal exercise. So maybe they may do for 1 week or 1 month. Later on, it may get bored and their performance get weakened. And the problem in all these things are, if and only if you do the rehabilitation daily on a perfect time, on a regular basis, you may recover soon. Once you stop it, again it may go to the failure stage. Again, you have to restart the exercise again and again. So you have to repeat the exercise again, so that you may get recovered soon. But in the conventional method, it is not possible to do so. You may leave a break. And during that break time, again you may go to the previous stage. Again, you have to start from the scratch. This is what we normally face in the existing method. Normal problem in the existing method is this. So these are all some of the existing rehabilitation system used in the hospital. If you see, so this is simple device. It may look like simple, but being a patient, if you go and operate this device, it is quite alarming. It is quite. Normally, patient will get afraid to go and sit. Okay. So these are all some of the devices. It's a very old technology, but still people are using in every hospitals. They are using this kind of technology for the movement. Fine. And also, we have taken a complete literature survey. Literature survey not in terms of analyzing the paper. We have taken a literature survey from the white papers of the hospital, from different literature papers released by all the hospital, all the papers related to medical. It will be done only, it will be published only after taking clinical trials in a reputed journal, right? So in all these things, they have concentrate on particular degrees of freedom. They have concentrate on particular movement. So we have divided the column into 3 degrees of freedom, on which movement they have concentrate on, and to move what motor they have used. As I told you, there are 2 types of devices, right? Active device and passive device. If it is a passive device, I need to involve motor for movement, motor for assisting the human being. So in that case, I need to use a very, very small motor, which should not give a dangerous effect to the human being. So as per the system, these are all the motors used, and these are all the movement that they have concentrated upon. For example, they have concentrated on shoulder, elbow, wrist, and these are all the motors used: DC stepper motor, sliding joint with strings, hybrid stepper motor. We have taken a complete literature survey of the movement. For example, here they have concentrated on 21 more degrees of freedom, and they have concentrated on all the fingers only, and they have used DC motor. They have concentrated only on the fingers. And these are all the literature we have carried out, and based on the literature, these are all the observations we made. Spasticity, meaning is muscle stiffness condition is associated with hemiplegia. So once the person's got affected from stroke or paralysis, we need to check the spasticity of the person. Once you know the spasticity of the person, then you will understand how far you need to develop a device, what are the sensor you need to integrate, okay? And what are all the we have 3 things. We have hydraulic motor, we have electrical motor, we have pneumatic motor. What type of motor we need to use? Yeah. Any clarifications required?
Sir? Excuse me, sir. Sir, your voice is breaking, sir.
So someone has asked a doubt.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
What is that?
Sir, Palanivel Rajan, sir. Do you have any doubt? So anyone have doubt? Please ask or post it in chat box. No, sir. No doubts. You can continue, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Sir, you can continue, sir. Or...
Okay. So we have discussed about the motors used, like hydraulic motor, pneumatic motor, and the electric motor, and we need to design a control mechanism for actuating this motor, for operating this motor, okay? And we can do wonders with this help of the observed literature, and we will show you how. And these are all the commercially existing devices. What you have seen, here is mainly for the fingers. This is for the finger movement. Again, it is not a robotic based. Again, it is not a virtual reality based. Okay, so the range of motion is huge, actually 90, etc. But this is quite costly. It is not an make in India product. It is available abroad, and this is for the wrist movement alone. See, in all these devices, what I'm going to list it here. This is a US based Qual Medicals USA. This is Qual Medical USA. This is another Qual Medical USA. You need a chair, and even the patient can operate that. And this is mainly for the shoulder. So we have seen an equipment for a ring, finger, for a wrist, and for shoulder. And this is for elbow. This part. This is for the elbow. This is for the elbow part. Okay. And this is another equipment. It is from China. If you see the cost, $500 to $1,000. Okay, and the range of motion is 0 to 125 degree. And this is another equipment. This is a very common equipment. This we can see it in India also. Very small equipment. And there are certain VR rehabilitation devices also. Okay. And mainly they have concentrated on post-stroke survivors, and this VR came into the rehabilitation market only in the year 2019. For example, if you see here, so these are all the devices. All these devices are VR based, but each and every device will concentrate on one part of the body. No one device will be used for all the parts of the body. So this is another product. If you see here, based on the movement, I can see this. But again, it is like what? It will concentrate on one part of the body, and the system cost is huge. This is a mobile-based application. There is another application. This BERT is another application, but cost is quite high. In Indian money, it may cost around like 65 lakhs. This is another equipment, but again, it will rehabilitate only the finger parts. This is another equipment, and quickly going through the literature part, let us go on to the device what we have developed at PSG Tech. This Armio Power is one of the company. They have many products in the market, but again the problem is they are pneumatic and hydraulic based. The problem in pneumatic and hydraulic based are these things we cannot use it at home. This may be suitable for the clinical applications, and also it may occupy more space. Okay, this is a hand monitor, and these are all other very common device. It is also available in India. We call it as mainly this is for gripping application. Okay, this is box and blot test. All the devices, even it is a basic device, speech therapy or occupational therapy, the person's level of improvement of activity of daily living can be checked with the help of an index. That index we call it as MBI, Modified Barthel Index. It is a 10-pointer, and based on the level, the MBI or the index value may vary. Okay, for example, if I am concentrating on upper stroke extremity persons, upper body, my upper body's exercise will be checked, assessed based on this MBI. Okay, fine. So now let us come to our product. So what we have done is, like, we have checked the type of strength required, the grip, the tip pinch, the palmar pinch, and what is the force required for men and women. Okay, if I want to carry an object, what is the strength required? What is the grip required? What is the force I require? Okay, so we have taken a survey on what type of motion we need for all the joints. For example, shoulder, elbow, and wrist. In shoulder, we have FE means flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, rotation. Similarly, for elbow, we have flexion and extension. In wrist, we have pronation, supination, flexion, extension, radial, ulnar. You don't need to worry much about this technical terminology. But ultimately, what I want is, if I want to move the particular part of the body, technically, I need to know about different movements involved. Then only I can place a sensor, I can make the motor to operate to move that into a particular motion. Okay, so we have FE, flexion and extension, AA, abduction and adduction, rotation, pronation and supination, metacarpal analogous joint, dip and tilt. So these are all the movement I need to make in all my rehabilitation devices. You take any device, all these devices should concentrate on this range of motion. And more importantly, before developing a device, we need to calculate the factor, the total body weight, and we have taken the total height, we have taken a survey, okay, for checking the parameter. And for developing a design, we need to calculate the torque calculation. So what is the total length, and what if I apply a force here, where the center of gravity will occur. So based on that, how many force I can lift from lower level to higher level, and what is the time taken for a normal human being and for a stroke patient to lift a particular object from low position to high position. These calculation I need to give it to the controller, because the patient is not going to operate the device. The machine itself will make a person to move. It is almost like what? A Terminator. It is almost like what? An exoskeleton, wherein which a device will make the human being to operate. Since he cannot do it, a machine will assist in making the movement. So if a machine is assisting a human being, it should not go beyond a particular level, and it should not give it should not break his hand. So there are certain levels, there are certain movements wherein which we need to stop the machine. How can I calculate it? I need to give that input to the machine. Otherwise, it may operate erroneously and it may give damage, right? So for that, we need to do the torque calculation for all the corresponding parts of the body: shoulder, elbow, wrist, and finger. Okay. For thumb finger, we need a separate calculation. So for each joint, we have calculated the center of gravity and the weight, rotation, force required. Based on the torque has been calculated. And we have developed this product, a separate motor for the shoulder, separate motor for the elbow, separate motor for the wrist. The problem in selecting the motor is certain motors are available in the market, but it is not used for the human movement. If it is a machine, we don't need to bother much, right? At maximum, what will happen? The machine will break. Okay, but the same risk we cannot take it for a human being, right? So it should operate in a very, very minimal position. I am just trying to replace my elbow with a motor. I am just trying to replace my shoulder movement with the help of a motor. Motor may run forward and backward at a very, very minimal speed, 300 RPM. What if I am rotating my hand? If I am rotating my finger, how fast I should rotate? That speed, that rotation, that force, I need to take it from a motor. Okay, whether the motor is rotating properly or not, that will be sensed by some sensor. And the sensor input should be so sensitive that it should give proper input. Okay, so we have used flex, force, and EMG sensor with the help of some I have used some microcontroller, but here I have put C2000. And we have placed some EMG sensor to check the muscle spasticity. Already I told you, right? The spasticity will check the stiffness of the person. So we need to check the spasticity, and we have calibrated the sensor, and also we have checked the interface between the motor and the hand movement. I have shown you. This is the motor interfacing. I have just given a prototype, and I'll tell you how this will move. Okay, so this is the virtual reality environment, and I will show you how it will move. We have developed a smart glove, and that in the smart glove we have placed a sensor, for example, like this. So this movement will be sensed here, and it will be interfaced with the system. So degree of movement, right, and pressure what we apply will be sensed here. So we have placed sensors all over, and this will be interfaced with the computer. So this movement can be sensed and it will be shown as an input here. This movement will be used for developing a virtual reality environment. How? I'll show you. So what we now completed is we have taken different calculation, and based on the calculation we have designed a motor. Some of the motor we have purchased, some of the motor we have designed, and we have developed some sensor and a glove. It is being attached. Now my sensor is moving, and based on the sensor movement, motor will also move. So now the important point is I need to integrate this with a virtual reality environment for gaming application. Why gaming involves here? So for moving a particular part of the body, for example, if I want to give an exercise to the shoulder, what I can do is like I can catch the apple falling from the tree. So if I am using my mouse to move this basket, what will happen? Your shoulder will move. Continuously the apple will move from, will fall from one tree to another tree. First it will fall from here. Then I have to move this basket and catch this. For a normal person, catching an apple in a game environment is easy. But for the patient who got affected from stroke, it is not quite easy. So depending on the level of the game will also increase. Okay. Similarly, we have developed around 15 games for the different movements of the body like this. I don't want to disclose all because it is not patented. We have just started doing it. Vehicle jumping, tracking a path, elbow movement, ball hiding, wiping, follow the color cube. We have given different names for it like this: Newton ball, handover. So we have around 13 to 15 games we have developed it. All are developed in a virtual reality environment. And this is the shoulder exoskeleton we have developed. So if you see here, I think the video is not shown. Anyway, the shoulder exoskeleton, I had a video here, but anyway, it's not working. So here we have developed an exoskeleton for the upper arm, for the shoulder, for the elbow, wrist, and the finger. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to tell you. And the motor design is being interfaced with the Raspberry microcontroller. So the Raspberry microcontroller gets its input from the sensor and give an input to the controller, and controller in turn will operate a motor. So how all these things will happen? By seeing a virtual reality environment, the gaming environment. So here the Raspberry Pi, motor and game, all these things are interfaced. So depending on the movement of the motor, this game will move. For example, look here. So here you can see it will rotate based on the movement of the hand. Okay. So this is the game, Newton ball, veggie. These are all the games what I have shown here. Okay. So we have developed a different game, and as of now we have fabricated this exoskeleton. It is a very simple equipment. It is not so complex. More than that, it will give a feedback and it can be interfaced with the virtual reality environment. And third, it is very cost effective. That is what we wanted, right? We can select it depending upon our requirement. We have different business model. If you want only for fingers, we can have it. If you want all the thing, if you want movable, if you want to fix it in a particular environment, everything can be done with the help of this device. Okay. So this is one of the equipment. This is a controller based equipment. This is the exoskeleton we have developed. So this is another exoskeleton. So as of now, we have developed an equipment. Only thing pending is now we need to interface the full exoskeleton. I'm not showing that figure because excuse me, I'm not showing that figure because it is not patented. We have applied for patent, so I don't want to show that. So we have used a different controller and different type of sensor for interfacing with the motor and the virtual reality environment, and we have interfaced all the games. Means what? All the game, in the sense it will take care of all the movements of the finger, the elbow, the wrist, the shoulder, etc. And it can go for different degrees of freedom. Depending on the requirement, it can go for different degrees of freedom. Okay. So that's all. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Before that, I would like to show some of the book what I have published. This might be useful for your further research. I'll quickly go through it.
Welcome to the class. We are going to start our class very soon now. Hopefully you are start our discussion. Let us see what will happen.
So thank you, coordinator, for inviting me.
Numerical part. I don't know
If you
what
have
we are able to read.
Thank you, sir.
What actually we are able
Any
to
queries?
I don't know.
Post your
Still,
in chat box.
with that one, and still your exams are there. I'm a little bit concerned about.
If you have any doubt, you can
proceed
message my email or this is my WhatsApp number.
Let's hope everything will be going well. If at all you want anything clarify regarding test, you can ask me now, right? So that's what basically I'm looking forward, and probably
website media இல்ல என்ன coordinator
Thank you for your wonderful session, sir, on rehabilitation therapy. We learned new medical terms and therapy, and also known about VR components used in rehabilitation. And your live demos are very helpful to understand the concepts in practical. Thank you, sir. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I thank all the participants for patiently listening all the 3 sessions today. We will meet in tomorrow's session. So kindly fill the feedback and leave the session. Thank you.